Well, hello guys. Remember when I tore the front end of the Duster all apart to put in splash shields? The ones I tried to put in were for a Duster, not a Demon or a Dart. These are the ones for a Dart. And they're steel, not plastic. And they're probably for the 67 or 68 front end. They do have some rash on them. Not too bad. It's fixable. The felts are all wore out and broke. So I think I might take those off and maybe replace them in the future. When I figure out where I can buy them from. And we'll get them stuck on the car. Oh yeah. You also take a different size bolt. I take a bolt this size, which has a big head on it, so it'll cover things up. Well, the other one takes a bolt of 5/16. Let's find a bolt for it. Yeah, I guess we're all underneath the car. Oh, there we go. There's one. One advantage of throwing anything in a bucket is you can find out where it is. One of the disadvantages of throwing everything in a bucket, you got more stuff to go through. This size. A little bit different. Of course, the Duster was drilled for the small ones, and I had to re-drill it for the bigger ones. So that I had the right ones with the plastic ones, but I did. So silly me. So we're going to clean these up. I don't know if I'll do that on camera or off camera. You guys really want me to see cleaning steel? I don't think so. So we're going to call it quits, and when we start putting together, we'll get back onto this. So we're going to take these off. We got little spring clips in here. Put that in there. And they've probably been in there for 50 years. And they probably won't survive you taking them apart. And hopefully when you buy new felts, or whatever they call these things, they have new clips with them. One piece. And let us know it's multiple pieces. And of course, the purpose of this is to keep the water from splashing between the splash guard and the fender, and getting into places it's not supposed to get, like the hinges for the door. One of the advantages of living in the Colombian Basin is that we have sun for about 300 days of the year. So I don't really have to worry that much about it raining. go. those over in the dart box, or the duster box, or unmovable things. Some of this old stuff off. I don't know if this is undercoating that's on here or just dirt. Probably a little bit of both. AMD wants $100 a piece for one of these. I don't know if that's worth it. Maybe it is, save me some time, all that stuff. For the filter taken off is probably another $100. I was worried about restoring it to the original. I'd probably put that on there, but I'm not really all that worried about doing that. It's like for new fenders for that thing, for 68 fenders, it's like $700 a piece from AMD. And it's 20 gauge, and I think those fenders from the factory are 18. 20 gauge too, so I don't think the fenders are the same thickness with the factory shift in 74 or in 68 for that matter. But I don't know what the actual metal thickness is. I think most Chryslers came out with 18 gauge metal, at least in the 60s and 70s. Metal you can buy from, say, Home Depot is either 22 gauge or you can get 16. 22 is probably a little light. 16 is probably a little thick. It is, you know. Not like 50 fabrication says, by the time you can grind things down to make it look nice, you probably gauge most of that 18 gauge stuff off already. Fun stuff about storing old cars, get the crap off them. the most sophisticated places they have a bead blaster or a sand blaster, and they do this in 5 minutes. Prime it with some epoxy primer. Or better yet, don't buy a replacement for $200 and wait 2 weeks. Will hopefully show up in some reasonable amount of time. Fortunately, I'm cheap, and my time is actually free because I'm retired. It's always paying me to do this. Basically the labor of love. Really good to heat up the horse. That take it out any faster. Uncle Tony tells people to go out and do that on their cars so they get really familiar with their car. Take a torch, go underneath the car, remove the undercoating. It'll take you 3 or 4 days to do it. It's a colossal mess. But you will get to know your car. He's correct about that. You may know more than you ever want to. So I guess I don't really know my cars. I've never gone underneath the car with a blowtorch or something like this and remove all the undercoating. I never thought it was worth the effort to do. You don't really gain that much performance. Sometimes the stuff actually works. By this time this video airs, it's probably about 6 months actually after doing this. Uncle Tony's garage and Dead Dodge garage should have their little race that they plan on having. And we'll see if Jamie our Dead Dodge garage is savvy enough street racer to outstage Uncle Tony. It's interesting to note that 340 Demon that Dead Dodge garage is going to scan paint as the next bracket car, and he said it's some hundreds or thousands of ones originally made in 1971. And that's probably true. Kind of irrelevant, but true. Well, at the same time, the original older day I was driving that 340. I had a 71 Demon I bought from a local used car dealer. I was the second owner of it. It was a 318 3-speed and 4 car with the heavy-duty suspension package. Which means it came with an 8 3/4, 340 torsion bars, 10-inch drum brakes all the way around. Wasn't a bad car. They bought that when I was, what, 19, I think? Maybe 18. I traded my 70 Dart at that time, the Dart customer had. The first Land 6 car I owned. And I bought when I was 17 or so for a 71 MGB GT. With the 1.8 Morse A-series engine in it. So I learned everything about British sports cars at an early age. And I've never been afflicted with a British sports car sickness since then. But then, I was convinced, excuse me, I was convinced that a little MG was going to get better gas mileage than my 70 Dart. It did. Little 4-cylinder was just as thirsty as that 225/6. Of course, had all the basic problems any British car had in that era. Crappy electronics, positive ground, which is weird for American standards. I guess it makes sense for all the British reasons. Use the imperial system on nuts and bolts instead of the American SAE standard. Well, you know, that's been normal. It's a British car. They get stuck with weird bolt size like 31/64. And you had to go out and buy a special wrench to take bolts off the stupid thing. I think that was for the oil pressure spring cover. Weird. I rebuilt that thing. Lowered the springs in the front. Sway bars all the way around, heftier sway bars so the corner better. Rebuilt the engine twice. But the first time the machine shop did. Oh, got some type of cold. I don't know what it is. Made it allergy, so all the hay. They didn't bore the cylinders correctly. Same problem I had on my 225 for my 65 Dart. They didn't bore the cylinders correctly, and it was too tight. So, by that time, I'd already built the 318 up in my Dart, my Duster. In fact, I actually removed the engine from my Dart and stuck it in the Duster. It was a 68 318. And it was basically a direct connection engine. I built it like a 340. I used 360J heads on it. Eventually ended up with 456 gears in it with 4-speed. Fun little car to drive. Never raced at the track. It was not too long after I got it built up, I got married and started having kids. And eventually the Demon went because having kids is expensive. And I didn't really have room for a hot rod at that time in my life. So I got rid of it. But until I got rid of it, that car was fast. I was living in Everett, Washington at the time, and the street racing in Everett, Washington was down on the airport road. Which at that time was outside the city limits. It wasn't in Mukilteo either, which is right next door to Everett. But it was right next to the Boeing plant. You know, where they made 747s. So we street raced down there. We never had to worry about the cops showing up. I think everybody knew what was happening. I think they were just glad we're doing it down there instead of someplace in the city. But I could outrun about anything I wanted to with that car. .318s are supposed to be that powerful. But, like I said, I built like a 340. It was a direct connection engine, so all the parts came from direct connection. It had a 340 crank in it. Direct connection balanced and shock keying rods. TRW pistons, Ford 30 over pistons. Some ridiculously huge direct connection cam. I don't even remember what size it was. It was a bracket racing cam for automatics. And of course I was running a 4-speed. Maybe that's why the car liked the cam so well. Anyway, I just won't run anybody out with that car. It was fun. I gave that thing the Pro Street, the street rod, or the street machine treatment. Narrowed the rear end, screwed the springs into the spring well. Remember, this is back in the late 70s when I did this, early 80s. And nobody made a good kit for doing this. Direct connection to sell you the boxes, but it wasn't a kit. Yeah, and they didn't give you any directions on how to do it. You just figure it out on your own. So I got it cut out. I moved the cutting board. Had my friend come over and weld the boxes. He was a certified welder at the time. Put it in with an arc welder because that's what I had available. Not bad. That little 318 power Demon run 13s. I can run that thing up to about 7,200 RPM. Shift, 7,200 RPM shift. Who knows how much horsepower put out. Or even run 13s. I don't know. I never took it to the track to find out. It just felt that fast. The reason I mention this is because I was running a 4-speed in that car. You know, a good old-fashioned Chrysler 8833. And one of the problems with that transmission is that first and second shift, you're almost guaranteed to screw it up because it pulls really hard to go in. Once again, the only reason I'm mentioning it is because Jimmy or Jeff got Brock is running a 4-speed in his Demon, go race like the Tony. He claims he knows a lot about 4 speeds, and maybe he does. shifting a 4-speed in anger is different than shifting a 4-speed to go down the road. And I don't know if he's done that. If I was going to build that car now, I'd have a 2-step in it, where I can set my launch speed and tie it into the line lock so I can turn it on and off. That way you can rev the car up to the level you think you need to, hold it. The line lock holds you on the starting strip so you're not inching your way down the hill or whatever. And then when you let go of the line lock, turns off the 2-step and you're at your full RPM capability right off the ground, and that way you get a good launch and a consistent launch. I guess sounds to me that Uncle Tony's only going to do one trip down the strip, and that's it. Winner take all. Good for them. I've done 2 out of 3. And I would pick my own racing venue instead of like an Uncle Tony picket. But that's me. And like I said, this is all history by the time this comes out. At that point, it won't matter. Oh well. Living in the past is very fun. Bad. We should run some sandpaper over that. Anyway, street racing in Everett in the 70s and 80s, early 70s, late 70s, early 80s was dominated by a guy named Dave. And Dave had a 62 Corvette with a 283 in it. Typical Chevy stuff, he had a 4-speed, M50 15s in the back. Cars lifted up enough to clear the tires, little dinky ones up front, that slapper bars, you name it. Typical street machine stuff from the 70s. They were a fast car. This fast as my demon, so I never raced them. And he used to race for money, so I didn't play that game. I never had the money to spend to do that. I think the most memorable race with Dave involved the guy of the '69 Mustang that was a class racer down at SIR, or Pacific Raceway is whatever you want to call him. Him and Dave were supposed to race. He trailered his car in on the back of the trailer, parked the trailer up behind the tavern that was on the corner where the stoplight was on Airport Road in Casino, and loaded his car, warmed it up, and he went for it. I think Dave won. That was a long time ago. I don't remember. I do remember that was the only time the cops showed up. Apparently somebody got one about the type of car that was racing that night, and got the cops concerned, and they showed up. I think it was both the Everett and Marysville cops showed up. Maybe the sheriff did too. So by the time they got there, we all scattered. You know, typical street racing stuff. Everybody headed different directions. The poor guy with the trailer had his trailer behind the, the tavern, so I think he might have gotten busted. Look, you got to watch me clean a pan anyway. Ha ha. So I think I'll purple power this thing, get all the rust off it, or get all the dirt off it. And osmo it. Give me an undercoating, and then paint it the flat black, and then we'll get it put back in the car. I'm going to do the same thing the other one. And might bore you anymore. I only got so many stories. Okay, see you in a bit.